So today we're talking about new art piece by Aaron Loveday. At first it looks very familiar, but there's some very interesting details from the original six-armed robot, that iconic piece from the Cymatic series, and today we're going to get into it, the exact differences. So first and foremost, the very fact that we're seeing this machine, this six-armed robot, appear again is noteworthy, because if you guys remember that the way that Cymatics ended, it basically ended with Omeka, this giant machine, destroying himself. And all the events and all the worlds of Cymatics were actually happening inside of this machine. He has become Death, the destroyer of worlds. That kind of ending, you know, everything is over. So to see this robot resurface later is very interesting, and it makes us wonder whether this robot was a part of the Cymatics series, or whether he's more of like a time-traveling, dimension-hopping entity, just moving through different art worlds. So if we observe closely, we can actually see that this newer version, the Sonic Activation six-armed robot, has slight differences from the original. You can notice that this kind of crown piece that holds the dome is slightly enlarged. You can also see that in the eye on the left, the pink eye, there's a kind of lid that comes over halfway, and it's almost creating this lazy eye effect, which is very interesting, because if you pay attention to kind of Buddha statues or enlightened depictions of beings in ancient iconography, you'll notice that entities and beings often have that kind of lazy eye, and I think that represents more of like that alpha theta state, which is a good state to be in, to be very imaginative, to dream, and to receive from spirit. So now the robot has kind of taken on that quality. He was already a meditating machine, but now it's kind of, that concept seems to be pushed even further. And if you actually notice in the machine's body as well, just details are added. There's little differences from the original. So it almost gives us the impression that this machine has been aging with time, or developing, upgrading maybe. And I think that's very interesting. Actually, quite a bit of lore surrounding this six-armed machine, more so than any other robot in the Cymatic series, I believe. So I'm going to read to you a little bit what it says here on the digital platform. Although machines and technologies seem to harbor just the opposite of a holistic approach to life and reconnection to source, the Cymatics project has a handful of deep spiritual initiatives embedded within its program. So, Activation, which is the name of the song, but the actual art piece itself that has the six-armed robot, is actually called Meditation, Activation, Disintegration. So, Activation explores its own version of the triune truths. The triune truth states that all of life is a trinity, or a triune reality. That is, there is a three-in-one quality to every aspect of life. We speak of the superconscious, conscious, and subconscious. We use the phrase body, mind, and spirit. We describe our universe as made up of energy, matter, and antimatter. We describe human activity as being expressed through thought, word, and action. And we refer to times in our life as past, present, and future. So then it goes on to say the Cymatics universe is also programmed by three core tenets, right? Held by this guy. Very, very fascinating. The first is meditation, arms at the bottom, for the marvelous machinations of imagination that come out of a focused, empty blackness. Meditation is for the field of vision granted to us when we calibrate it to innermost experience. The second is activation, arms at the head. Activation represents the movement of actions taken upon any entity to engage its reality in a way that is conducive to the entity's highest conceptualization of self. And finally, disintegration, arms at the top, employs the disruption, dissimulation, and dismantling of any structures or conditioned processes that interrupt the flow of self-discovery and awakening archetypes. So you can see this machine in particular has a lot of lore surrounding it. In fact, so much lore that it perhaps transcends and even supersedes the world that we first see it in, which is cymatics, which is why I believe that now that we're kind of seeing it resurface in a new light, and here it is in a new kind of way. I think that's very, very significant, actually, and we probably will get to see it again in the future, perhaps, with more development, because we can see here that it has been sort of developing in time, so we'll see where that goes.